Hi, it's Monday 13th of May, around midday, and today's a very, very exciting day for me personally. Today's the start of a project which I've wanted to do for some years now. My fascination with breeding, as much as my fascination with koi has been for 30 odd years, breeding for me was something that, as I was brought up in koi, as I got involved with koi, was always something that was said that only the Japanese could do. So all in my early years of koi keeping, breeding just was not of interest at all. Just dismissed it on that fact that only the Japanese could do it. It wasn't until summer of 2008 and I was in Japan. I remember one day driving past Shintro Koi Farm, Masaru Saito and his wife Hiromi and his brother. They were outside selecting Sankei. First selection of Sankei, fry that were about 5 weeks old. Saito suddenly invited me to sit down and start doing some selection with him. And I was like, okay. And from that very day, my fascination really started, and it was something that I desperately wanted to get involved with doing. At that point in time, I probably still dismissed the fact that it could be done anywhere else but in Japan. But over the years, and certainly in more recent years, having spent time at Perding Koi Farm in America, and with Josab and at Yoshiki Koi in Poland. Last couple of weekends ago, going to see Fabio at Koi Lab in Italy. Adam Bayer up here and in the UK as well. People like Mark Davis at Cuttlebrook Koi. More and more people I see are having success with breeding their own koi, and that just made me want to do it even more. So having spent the last 2 summers in Perding Koi Farm in America, which has been a great experience, something I love doing, I decided this year it was time to settle down and do something for myself, and that was to breed my own koi here in the UK on a very small scale at this early stage, purely as a hobby really. But with the dream, I have to admit, that one day it will be a longer or a bigger thing, and a full-on koi breeding program of my own here. Anyway, so today, 13th of May, as I say, it's around midday now, and behind me in the tank that we built over the winter is the first parent set that I've ever bred of my own fish. A parent set of Beni Kikokuryu. People question, I always used to say if I bred anything I'd breed Showa, and that would be what I would breed. If not, it would be Goshiki. The truth is, I really can't afford anything in terms of parent stock that I want to breed Showa from. So completely dismissed it. And I know the chance of getting anything good from any spawning on the sort of scale that this is on is very difficult. And I just feel that Beni Kikokuryu really interests me. And I feel that there's an opportunity perhaps to get something really interesting, something a bit unique from the spawning that we've put together. And I'll show you those parents in a little while. So at the moment they've been together since about 9 o'clock this morning, so they've been together for 3 hours or so, and they're doing what koi normally do when you put them together. The females swing around, mouthing at the spawning ropes, spawning brushes. The males are nudging a little bit. I gotta be honest, one of the males I know 100% is good male, very horny, shall we say. Because when he was in this tank with females a month or so ago, when the weather was warm then, and he certainly showed full signs. I came out one evening about 11:30 at night, and he was pursuing the other 3 females which were in the tank. The other male was a male I picked up from Kitsu Koi just last weekend, and I've got a little suspicion that he may not be male. I've had a real problem getting males, I've been honest, and that's purely for the fact of I bought several fish blind that I'd only seen video of, and I would have been very confident knowing where they came from, that they would likely have been male fish. Sod's law, turns out they were females, and they're both females I would love to have bred from, but only so much space. And the female I have chosen was the obvious choice for me this year. There's a female from Marasaka Koi Farm, female Beni Kikokuryu. So she's with a small male, which is also from Marasaka, but I'm fairly confident they'll be sufficiently genetically apart, at least hopeful that they're genetically apart, not to cause a problem. The other male was the male from the Kitsu Koi, which is bred from a Hoochie Koi farm. So we'll have a look at those fish now. So there's net set up in the tank here. This is the tank that the eggs will be hatched inside this net, and then the fry will be grown. If the other male turns out not to be a male, it's really not going to be the end of the world for me, I don't think. Limited space to raise the fry. This is the female just coming in the bottom of the shot here. So limited space to raise the fry, so it's highly unlikely that if there's a decent hatch I would keep all the fry at in the first stage anyway, and raise those all to first selection. So if there's only one male and there's a small fertilisation rate, it's really not going to be the end of the world for me this year. So the net is one of the Japanese nets made by Matsuda Koi Farm, and most of the spawning ropes in here are the Matsuda spawning ropes as well, the Japanese spawning ropes. And there's a couple that I picked up yesterday at the Koi show over here in England, just because I was concerned maybe there wouldn't be enough. You see the female there mouthing at the spawning ropes, as they tend to do once they're put into the net or with the spawning ropes, sign that she's sort of preparing her nest, so to speak. And the male's showing a little bit of interest in her, so the water temperature at the moment is about 18 degrees, just pushing through 18 degrees. Been dropped down a little bit because some fish had to come out of here yesterday, or this morning rather, to go out to the main pond outside. So that was just to equalise the temperatures between the two ponds. And now this is just gently raising up. It's so warm in here when the sun's shining like it is today. So this will warm up very rapidly. And soon be through 20 degrees, I would think, this afternoon. So maybe this afternoon or later on this evening I'll spray some fresh water onto the pond in a hope to see them sort of trigger them a little bit. You can see one of the males just underneath the female here. That's the other Marasaka male. Well, that's the Marasaka male. Showing sufficient interest. You know, these came into the country together in the same shipment to Global Water Barn where they came from. Tony Pippin had selected both of these in Japan, I think in February time. And so a few weeks ago, the male very much acquainted himself with this female, or started to acquaint himself with the female, with the look of spawning. So he was rapidly taken out to the pond outside. He certainly got a dose of cold water that night on his fun. But hopefully tonight we'll decide tonight's his moment to star. So say early days for these fish. They've only been in a few hours. The sun goes round. The sun's just reached them this afternoon. It stays on them all afternoon on this side of the building, this side of the house, and it stays on them and shines through here until it goes down about 8 o'clock this evening. Probably dips behind the properties to the right of me now. So once the sun starts to set, let's say maybe I'll put spray a bit of water on them. There's a bit of a trigger for them if they're looking like they need a bit more of encouragement. And then hopefully sometime tonight, if all goes well, they'll start spawning, and by the morning we'll have a whole bunch of eggs, and hopefully fertilise eggs. But whether we do or whether we don't, I'll tell you soon.